Welcome to today's deep dive. Today we are focusing on what is really the backbone of modern video distribution.
Yeah, the actual plumbing of it all.
Right, the plumbing. Specifically, we are looking at the Zenty ZT-105. It is a 24-port AV over IP switch, and we're sourcing this info from HDTV Supply. Our mission today is to figure out how this specific piece of hardware acts as the ultimate traffic cop for custom video setups.
Well, if you follow the custom install market, the days of running a rigid fixed HDMI cable from point A to point B are kind of over.
Completely over.
Right now, it is all about AV over IP,
Yeah.
sending high-def video over a network packet system.
But the big misconception you see is people thinking they can just grab any off-the-shelf internet switch to handle that traffic.
And you really cannot do that. Video data behaves totally differently than a basic email or a spreadsheet, right?
Exactly. You need hardware that acts as a specialized traffic cop to manage that density, and that is why the ZT-105 stands out. It has 24 ports, but what really jumps out from the datasheet is that 23 of them are fully user-definable. Yeah, we are not seeing that old rigid structure, the classic 4 inputs and 4 outputs.
The fixed matrix. With this, the ports are agnostic. You configure them yourself via software. So if you suddenly need a fifth display,
You do not have to go buy a whole new piece of hardware.
precisely, you could technically set up a matrix with 2 sources and 21 displays, or flip it entirely and have 20 sources and 3 displays.
Just custom tailor it. I know ports 23 and 24 are defaulted for management, but having that massive block lets you fit the hardware to your room instead of forcing the room to match the hardware.
It gives you a true end-to-end matrix system. But we should talk about how it handles the actual data, because this is where the AEV part of AV over IP really matters. The specs highlight unknown unicast, broadcast, and multicast storm control.
Which sounds intense. That is essentially a safety valve for the network, isn't it?
It is. Video data is incredibly heavy. On a standard budget switch, if the device doesn't know exactly where to send a packet, it might just flood that data to every single port just to be sure.
Right, a broadcast storm.
Yeah, and that completely clogs the network and kills your stream. The ZT-105 identifies that specific video traffic and isolates it so it doesn't crash everything else.
It keeps it in its own lane. The documentation also mentions support for jumbo frames up to 10K bytes.
Think of it like shipping logistics. Instead of sending thousands of tiny standard envelopes, you're sending fewer, larger boxes.
Which cuts down on the processing overhead for each packet.
Exactly. And combined with the 56 gigabit backplane speed, it ensures the switch is not blocking.
Meaning the high bandwidth video just flows smoothly without bottlenecks, even at really high resolutions. Now, actually, controlling this traffic used to require command line expertise, but Zenty has moved to a web GUI interface.
Much more accessible. You just log in via browser to set up your routing logic. And for the day-to-day user, they have the Zenty Control app on Google Play.
So you can just switch sources from a phone.
Yep. Plus, it supports drivers for major third-party systems like Control4 and Crestron, so it slots right into a broader automation ecosystem.
We should definitely clarify one thing, though. This switch is the hub, but it still needs endpoints.
Good point. To get the video onto the network, this is designed to pair with Zenty's specific IP250E encoders and IP250D decoders.
You need the full ecosystem to build the matrix.
Right. In terms of acquisition, HDTV Supply has this listed around $410.
And I noticed there is a 25% discount code in the source notes, too.
That makes the price solid, but the real value proposition is the support lifecycle. HDTV Supply has been around for 25 years, and they back this with a 5-year Zenty warranty,
Plus lifetime technical support.
which is the ultimate insurance policy. When you are dealing with network layers and video packets, having a direct line to an expert when something isn't shaking hands correctly is vital.
And free USA shipping never hurts either.
It definitely lowers the anxiety of moving to an IP-based system.
It represents a real shift toward professional-grade flexible video distribution that is actually accessible to the learner.
It puts the control and the software where it belongs.
So to wrap up, here is a thought for you to mull over. As we cram our homes and offices with higher resolution screens and more data-hungry devices, we might be reaching a point where the humble network switch is actually the most important appliance in the entire building.
I think for many smart homes, we are already there.
If your digital plumbing can't handle the pressure, it doesn't matter how nice the faucet is. Something to consider the next time you see a buffering wheel. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.